All right, so you've gone to today's date on the calendar and you've opened up the Waterlily. You've dragged and dropped that to your desktop or saved it to your desktop. Went back and got the ocean photo. You can also access these on the Google Classroom. All right, we are going to open those in Photoshop. So I've opened up the ocean. I'm also going to open up the Waterlily. I'm going to open it up as its own document. I am not going to drag and drop it on because that would make a picture clipping, right? So I'm going to go to File, Open, to open the Waterlily as its own document. All right, I have mine on the desktop, so I will browse my desktop for the Waterlily. And it should be at the bottom since it's alphabetical, Waterlily. Okay, now notice I have, let me close this real quick. Notice I have two documents open. They are tabbed here. So here's the ocean photograph. Here is the Waterlily. They are tabbed next to each other. They are both open as their own documents. All right, from here, I'm going to click and hold on the Waterlily right here. I'm just going to drag and let go because I want the Waterlily to be separate. I'm going to go subtract or select the Waterlily out of its background and move it to the ocean photo. All right, so here's your time where you need to decide what selection tool is going to be the best tool to select the Waterlily out of its background. All right, do you want to use the quick select? That's usually our first tool to think about. All right, should we use the quick select? Let's go get it. Second tool down on the right, hold down until you get the quick select. All right, now remember with the quick select, you have a brush tip and the size. I'm going to make mine super small. The smaller your brush tip, the more control you have. So I'm going to start with 2 pixels. All right, so I'm going to click and start dragging to select the Waterlily. Looks like it's doing a pretty good job so far. All right, now remember if you select too much. So if it selects too much and goes out of the background, you don't have to start over. You could go to the subtract from selection up in the submenu where it has the minus sign next to the quick select. Or you could use your keyboard shortcut and just hold Alt or Option on your keyboard and you switch to the minus. Remember, zooming in and having a smaller brush tip gives you more control over the quick select. All right, now once you think you've got a good selection, get that move tool, top left, move tool. Move tool moves your selections. All right, I'm going to click it, drag it, drop it onto the ocean. All right, I'm going to minimize the original lily because I don't need that right now. Okay, now time to decide if that was a good selection. This is really small. All right, I'm going to make it bigger. Edit free transform or Control T. All right, now, right now, when I'm in the free transform mode, notice where I'm circling on the submenu, that little chain link. Mine is depressed, it's clicked, which means it's constraining proportions. It will not distort. If yours is unchecked or undepressed, you'll distort your photo. All right, we don't want to distort the photo. Now, other reminder, look at when I make this bigger, it looks all pixelated, right? But I'm in the transform box right now. I need to get out of the transform box and then make my decision if this is still pixelated. All right, so click the check or return on your keyboard. Is it still pixelated? No, it looks fine. But you know what doesn't look good? Look at all those extra pixels on the outside. Quick Select did not do a good job. That does not look good. All right, so from here, I need to fix it. Either I need to go get my eraser and erase the edges, which I think will be time consuming and also make the edges not crisp. So I don't want this. This is a bad selection. I'm going to delete or trash that layer. I'm going to bring back up the Waterlily, and I'm going to use a different selection tool. All right, I'm going to select, deselect, because that was a poor selection. That was a bad selection. Time to do it better. I'm going to zoom in some more, and this time I'm going to try out my magnetic lasso. So 2 tools down on the left are the lassos. I'm going to hold down and get my magnetic lasso. Remember this guy? Magnetic lasso selects pixels based on their contrast. So I'm going to trace around the water lily with the magnetic lasso. All right, this might take some time, but I think it's worth it to make a clean selection. Okay, now remember, you're tracing all the way back to your original anchor, the original place that you started your tracing. If you sort of let go and lose your way, double click to get out of the magnetic lasso or deselect, and then start again. All right, I chose this picture on purpose. It's challenging. So make sure that you are spending the time to make a clean selection. No jagged or extra background pixels on your water lily. I've traced all the way back to my original anchor I laid down. There's a little circle next to my cursor telling me I made it back. So now I can let go, and it's now marching ants. All right, from here I'll grab my move tool again, and I'm going to click, drag it, drop it over. All right, once again I'm going to resize this, edit free transform or control T. I'm going to make it bigger, and I can see once again, even with the magnetic lasso, I got some of that background in there. So once I make it bigger, I am going to go grab my eraser. And with the eraser, I'm going to choose a brush tip. I'm going to choose my hard round. That's under the general brushes, hard round. I'm going to make the brush tip pretty small. All right, and now I'm going to clean up some of those jagged pixels. A shortcut to make your brush tip smaller, left bracket on your keyboard. Make it bigger, right bracket on your keyboard. This goes for any time you use a brush tip. So that's with the eraser, that's with the paintbrush, pencil. All right, so notice I've zoomed in and I've gone all over the photo, making sure that I've got nice clean edges, no extra background pixels, no jagged edges. Please keep it down. I'm recording your video. All right, next step. You're going to make a realistic, somewhat, reflection of the water lily on the water. So move your water lily to the surface of the water. All right, next, let's review. You're going to change the hue of your water lily. We know how to do this. Let's go to Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation. All right, and you're going to adjust the hue slider. Now notice, because your water lily is mostly white, the hue that is changing is the kind of interior of it. Now you could leave it this way if you want, just changing the interior of the flower, but if you'd like the actual petals to change color, you're going to click on this box right here that says colorize. If you do that, now you've got a monochromatic lily where the petals and all the shadows are changing hue. Next, I'm going to duplicate the water lily. All right, so I'm going to rename my layer. That's the water lily. All right, next I am going to duplicate the water lily layer. I'm going to right click on that layer in the layers palette and choose duplicate layer. You could also go to your menu, layer, duplicate layer. And I'm going to call this reflection. Okay, it's been duplicated. There it is in the layers palette. I'm going to move that down. All right, now a reflection does not look like this, right? A reflection should be flipped. It should be a mirror image. So on the reflection copy, I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, Flip Vertical. Edit, Transform, Flip Vertical. All right, so now my water lily is flipped. All right, now we want this to look like a reflection, so move it down a little bit. All right, and you know, it's on water. So let's give it a little filter. We're gonna make it look like it's rippled, and we're gonna use a filter. Let's go up top to your menu where it says filter. All right, and we're gonna look for some filters that you think might be good for a reflection on water. I'm gonna go to distort ripple. If you want to try out wave, you could do that too. All right, I'm going to go to filter, distort, ripple. All right, I'm going to get my pop-up box, and you can move this around and look for your actual water lily in it, or you could zoom out. Okay, but the other thing too is that I'm going to increase the amount of ripple. And right now it's the size is, you can change your size. Is it small? Is it medium? Is it large? All right, now if I click on large, then it, it'll ripple more. Still haven't got my preview. All right, I'm going to click OK, and now take a look. There's, it's a lot of ripple. So I think I'm going to undo that. Edit, undo. I'm going to go back, filter, distort, ripple. And I think I'll reduce that. How about size medium instead and make it smaller on the amount. Okay, that didn't do very much. Let's try again. All right, so what I want you to see from this is that I'm trying again, right? So it doesn't always work perfectly the first time. I'm experimenting. Okay. All right, so I've got a little bit of ripple now on my reflection. All right, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the opacity of my reflection in the layers palette. So here's my reflection. I'm going to go to the opacity in the top of the layers palette, and I'm going to make that reflection see-through, transparent. I'm going to reduce my opacity down below 50%. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to softly mask out the bottom of the reflection as if it's fading away. And I'm going to do that by adding a layer mask. All right, we haven't done this before. Take a look. On the reflection layer in the layers palette, I'm going to add a layer mask. I'm going to go to the bottom of the layers palette and click on this little button. Looks like a gray, or technically a white square with a gray circle in it. And if you hover on it, it says add layer mask. Click it. So on your reflection layer now, you should see an extra white square with a chain link and brackets around it. This is called a layer mask. A layer mask is just like what you would think of as a mask. If you put a real mask on your face, you're hiding your face, right? We are going to use a layer mask to hide some of the water lily. It's non-destructive. We're not going to erase it. We're going to hide it. All right, now, when you want to hide something, you use black. When you want to reveal something, you use white. So you're going to put black as your foreground swatch in your swatches right here in your tool palette. Click that little arrow switch. Put black as the foreground. All right, now I'm going to go get a brush. So I'm going to go get my paintbrush, regular brush tool. I'm going to drop down my brush menu right here where I'm circling on the sub menu, and I'm going to choose a soft round brush. I want soft edges. All right, now my brush tip is pretty high right now. It's on 300 pixels. That's okay. You could make it a little bit smaller. All right, and now what I want to do as well is I want to lower the opacity of my brush. I want this to fade away softly. So I'm gonna, put it down low, maybe like around 40%. All right, so double check. You've got a layer mask on the reflection layer and the brackets are around the mask, meaning you've selected the mask. You have black in your foreground swatch. You have your regular brush tool and you chose a soft round. You went to the opacity of the brush on your submenu and reduced it down to around 50 or 40. All right, now time to do the masking. I'm going to zoom into my reflection. With the brush tool, take a look. I'm going to softly erase. And I'm at about 48%, and I think that's too high. I'm going to go down to, let's try 23. All right, now take a look as I paint. I am not painting black. What I am doing is masking. I'm slowly hiding part of the reflection. Now notice, can you see it there on the mask in the layers palette? See that little bit of black on it? That's showing you the area I hid. Now let's say, oh, I masked too much. It's all gone. Oh, I don't want it all gone. I'm going to switch to white. Switch to white. And now take a look. When I paint with white, it's coming back. So black hides, white reveals. This is a way to do a non-destructive change. If you change your mind, it's still there. You can go back and unmask it. All right, I'm switching back to black, and I'm going to softly mask a little bit away. Okay, once you have made a clean selection of your water lily, duplicated it, flipped it vertical, give it a wave or ripple filter, mask it, and slowly make it blend away. That's it. You're ready to save. All right, make sure that you save as, and save this as your Photoshop document in your Google Drive. Let's call it your last name dash Lily. All right, keep this as a PSD. You're going to save this to your Google Drive. Next, time to flatten it. Layer, flatten image. Time to save it as a JPEG. File, save as. All right, double check it's your last name dash Lily where it says save as type. Let's drop this down and choose JPEG. JPG, JPEG. All right, save it. Your quality can be anywhere between 8 and 10. All right, and now it's time to save that to your Google Drive and upload to the assignment on Google Classroom.